It's kind of like that gun from RoboCop, except for I'm not a cyborg with a penchant for shooting criminals in the dick, so I guess it's not really like the gun from RoboCop, but it is SilencerCo's Maxim 9. A huge shout out to Silencer Shop for loaning us the Maxim 9 featured in today's video. What is up, guys? My name is John with PewPewTactical.com, your definitive source for gun reviews, gear guides, and all things. Go look up that video, because I was remembering it as being a canonical part of the RoboCop franchise, and it's not, but it is really well done. NSFW. What is innovation? Now, if your only reference point for the word is my email inbox that's currently just being inundated with pre-internal marketing SHOT Show industry lead-up emails inviting me to come check out Uncle Yeehaw's booth where he's showing off the latest innovative laser etching technology that he's using to emblazon gas station knife blades with Punisher skulls, your understanding of the word, understandably, might be a bit skewed. But despite the fact that innovation's use as a marketing buzzword has essentially robbed it of all meaning, I believe that there are still a few players out there creating truly innovative products, and SilencerCo's Maxim 9 is testament to that. Integral suppression isn't anything new in the world of long arms, but when it comes to handguns, your options are vanishingly limited. And while various .22 pistols with integral cans have been kicking around for years, SilencerCo's Maxim 9 represents the one and only time integral suppression has been brought to the market in a 9mm platform. In fact, the entire system that supports the Maxim 9's integral suppression is equally unique, featuring a fixed 4.3-inch barrel with a reciprocating rear slide portion that rides along two guide rod recoil springs utilizing a roller-delayed blowback system to cycle the gun reliably. The suppressor itself is secured to the firearm via two Allen screws that run the entire length of the can back to the chamber block, and interestingly, the suppressor is actually configurable for desired overall length. While out of the box coming in a 10-inch configuration, by removing the two long Allen screw rods at the front of the gun, ditching baffles 2 and 3 from the suppressor, and reinstalling the rest of the components with the included shorter rods, the Maxim 9 can be brought down to a slightly more manageable overall length of 9 inches, all while remaining relatively ear-safe with most ammunition types. What's more is that considering the manner in which the suppressor is directly integrated into the barrel assembly, you're also much less likely to get baffle strikes, as there's really no way for the act of firing the gun to begin loosening your can, potentially allowing it to walk off the end of a normal threaded handgun barrel and sag on non-integral setups. Additionally, as the barrel doesn't move during operation, that means the MOS optics mount that sits right above it is stationary as well, which essentially allows the end user to slave the optic directly to the barrel itself rather than to the rear of the slide, like you'd find on most handguns that accept red dots. From front to back, obviously, you've got the sleek integrated suppressor up front, which is both home to your tritium front sight and features key mod slots on the bottom for adding an intermediary pick rail if you need a light or laser on the Maxim 9. This is pure speculation on my part, but I'm assuming Keymod was likely the only real way to achieve this without any extra added bulk, considering that M-LOK takes up just a bit more internal space to achieve the same output, even if it's not my first choice. The Maxim 9's frame itself is texturized in all of the right places, with grip-enhancing slashes found on the area above the trigger guard, giving your thumbs the purchase they might naturally seek, as well as nearly the entire pistol grip surface. The trigger guard is quite generous and has a diagonal slant up front that allows you to get a real solid wrap around it with a few fingers from your support hand. It's not quite what I'm used to with my Glock's double undercut that really only allows for indexing of my offhand's middle knuckle, but it's quite comfy once you get the hang of it. As a cool little Easter egg, I believe the various slash marks that constitute that grip texture also spell out SilencerCo's signature "Fight the Noise" slogan in Morse code as well. Your slide release is ambidextrous, and much like the Glock, the mag release can be swapped to either side depending on user preference as well. The rear portion of the slide is heavily serrated to ensure you've got positive retention on it even in shitty conditions, and the trigger is relatively crisp considering the gun's polymer striker fire construction. It's certainly not the twitchiest thing in the world, but it's also not quite as stiff and shitty feeling as a stock 5-pound Glock trigger. It's somewhere in between that and my upgraded 3.5-pound Apex trigger. These are compliments, by the way. I actually quite enjoyed the trigger's obvious take-up and clean breaking point after a few mags of acclimation. The Maxim 9 ships with two 17-round Magpul Glock P mags, but should be compatible with all Glock 17 mags on the market, though unfortunately we didn't get the chance to test this. Out at the range, your first impressions are probably going to be the gun's perceived unwieldiness owing to the unconventional design. And sure, it's a little front heavy, but after a few warm-up reps, the Maxim 9 is pretty damn comfy, especially considering the fact that it's not too much larger than a standard handgun, and it's certainly more maneuverable than a standard handgun with a suppressor threaded on. I'll be the first to tell you guys that handguns are not quite my strong suit. I'm proficient with my own, but oftentimes transitioning to a new platform for a video leaves me feeling not quite as confident as I would be transitioning between rifle platforms. But this wasn't really the case with the Maxim 9. Perhaps that's due to the fact that it's similar enough to the muscle memory I've already built elsewhere, I'm not really sure, but I definitely found myself feeling a bit more capable running different courses than I generally do with other handguns I'm going into cold. Take that for whatever you will. Indeed, the gun is quiet even with standard ball ammunition. A soft thud that's sometimes difficult to disentangle from the mechanical action of the slide cycling itself, and this is obviously even more pronounced when shooting subsonic ammunition. While we didn't get the chance to bust out a decibel meter, Military Arms Channel has a fantastic video for the more data-oriented dorks amongst ye that does just that, testing both the long and short configurations, and I'll drop a link to it right down below. The Maxim 9's recoil is likewise soft, probably owed in equal parts to the roller delayed action and the fact that you've got a relatively large, non-reciprocating mass up front. But this is one of those handguns for me that stands out as actually being fun to shoot. The gun does have a habit of getting quite hot, however, and despite the fact that I despise shooting handguns with gloves on, at one point I felt it necessary to don my pigs just to make sure I wasn't pulling shots due to lizard brain heat flinches. It's not unmanageable and only really occurred after running a few mags back to back, but it's something to be aware of nonetheless. Additionally, as you might expect, this thing spews a pretty good amount of carbon right into the chamber area, but that sort of just comes with the territory considering what exactly the Maxim 9 is. In the couple hundred rounds of normal 9mm ball and subs we ran through the gun, the fouling didn't induce any issues that we noticed. So, where does all of that leave us? As I mentioned in the intro, it's really cool to get to play with products that are actually innovative, and this to me feels like a fantastic example of just that. While the Maxim 9 isn't new and we're admittedly a little late in our coverage of it, I still had an absolute blast with the gun, and it's quite interesting to feel like you're getting a peek behind the curtain of where handgun technology might be headed within the next few years if other manufacturers decide to follow suit to making the suppressor an integral part of the firearm rather than an afterthought. It's also refreshing to see a company roll the dice on a completely new design and have it not come off as half-baked or gimmicky, and for that, SilencerCo deserves ample credit. If you're thinking about snagging a handgun to play host to a suppressor for any reason, it's certainly worth taking a look at, and the MSRP of anywhere from $1,300 to $1,400 at least makes it reasonably competitive to the price of acquiring both items separately, unless you were trying to suppress a high point or whatever. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, yell at me in the comments. I'm sure I said something that someone is gonna take issue with. Also, I'm wearing a shirt that you too can own because that is the consequence of living in a society with modern textile producing capabilities. You can find this shirt and others, not this exact one, that'd be kind of weird and gross, at the link down below. My name is John with Pew Pew Tactical. We'll see you next time.